Welcome to the Coffee with Cheryl podcast, the podcast for women over 50 who want to live their best life right now. Imagine having the courage to reinvent your life financially, professionally, personally, and spiritually. Join Cheryl and guests as they share practical tips and resources to inspire you to achieve the lifestyle of your dreams. So grab your favorite mug. It's time for Coffee with Cheryl.
Welcome to the Coffee with Cheryl podcast, a podcast for women over 50 who want to live their best life right now. I am your host, Cheryl Garrison. I am an author. I am a coach. I am passionate about everything that deals with women over 50. I am the CEO and founder of 50 Something Lifestyle and Becoming 50 Something Publications. And I am so happy that you joined me today. Today is the day before the official launch of my new book, Legacy. It's here, it's in my hands, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with the world. This has been a project that has been near and dear to me for many years, and I put it aside and I just let it sit there and decided that in 2023 it would be a project that I would absolutely publish this book. And I am so glad that I did. And it has been one of the joys of my life to be able to see this book in print, Legacy. And so I'm so glad that you have joined me on this day because I'm going to celebrate legacy and all that it has in it and is able to do for people who read the book. It's really about who we are and coming to terms with our ancestry. And if you haven't had a chance to do your own family tree or do anything on ancestry.com or do your DNA through 23andMe or anything that has gotten you closer to your roots, I encourage you to do that. A few years ago, I started my family tree on my father's side and have traced my ancestry all the way to my great great grandfather. And I know that I have still have more work to do because I would love to be able to trace back to slavery and back to even our roots in Africa. So that's going to be a project that I will be working on in the coming months as I continue to embark on this legacy that is my heritage. And I encourage you to do that. And so today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you a video of an ancestry event that will help you to take the time to look into your own heritage, to your own genealogy. And it's about giving you some tools and some resources to help you start your family tree if you haven't done so. And if you have, to give you some additional resources so that you can complete it. On my husband's side, his sister and a few other relatives were able to trace their roots to slavery. And it's really fascinating. We were able to go to Montgomery, Alabama a few years ago for a family reunion and actually go to the family grave site where a lot of the ancestors are buried. And the patriarch of that family, um, who had a house right next to the cemetery and also was able to purchase his freedom and own his own land. We were able to see that house and we were able to see the Garrison Street there in Montgomery, where most of his relatives who live there are still living. And it was just so profound to be able to see that kind of history and know that where he came from and his roots and where the Garrison family started. So I encourage you to do that, and I hope that one day I will be able to also do that with my side of the family, the Haynes and Langston family. So today we're going to share this video with you and encourage you to find out your legacy. Once you read this book, you'll see the importance of knowing who you are and how it affects how you deal with the life that you've been given. Because where we come from is important, and how we perceive life is based on the people who raised us, and we'll be able to better understand some of the decisions that were made to make us who we are in our modern day time. And I also encourage you to look out in on Facebook, on Instagram, in your emails, so that you will be able to get the links so that you can go out and purchase your copy of Legacy. It's $25 plus shipping on Amazon, and you'll be able to get your copy and share in this journey of the Howard family, who's the family portrayed in this book. It is fiction, and it there are some references to things that actually happened in our history. So it's a historical fiction, but I do believe that you will enjoy it and you will understand the things that this family went through to come to terms with their own legacy. So enjoy the quick little presentation that will play. And I look forward to seeing you the next time on Coffee with Cheryl. Hello, this is Cheryl Garrison with Becoming 50 Something Publications. I am the author of the new book Legacy, which will be available for purchase tomorrow, January 30th. And we are also planning to have a local launch event here in Phoenix, Arizona, February 17th. So if you're local, look forward to getting that information. So I'd like to share with you very quickly some information on finding your roots and finding your own legacy as a person, as your family, someone who is looking to create your own family tree or look into your own genealogy. You may be interested in some of the resources that I will share with you today. So this is a very quick presentation on finding your roots. If you know where we come from, we may better know where to go. If we know who we came from, we may better understand who we are. I'll say that again. If we know where we came from, we may better know where to go. If we know who we came from, who gave brought us here, we know that God is our creator, but from our parents, from our family, if we know who we came from, we may better understand who we are. And in the book Legacy, you will find out how when this family finds out who they really are, what effects that has on how they look at themselves in the modern day. So, who are you? Who we are is really about where we come from, our roots, our ancestry, who our parents were, who our grandparents were, our relatives. What did they do? How did they get here? How did they deal with the things that happened in the life around them during the Depression, during the Civil War, during all the things that have happened to us as a people? What happened to them during the Vietnam War? Who are you? And how did the people we come from, how did they react to the life around us? Once we find that out, it helps us to be able to figure out how we get through our own conflicts and our own trials, and also the triumphs in our lives. So to finding your roots, it's all about who you are. So who are you? I'm going to give you some tools to help you find that out if you take the time to look into some of these things on finding your genealogy or your ancestry. So, what is genealogy? Finding who we are is about two things, genealogy and ancestry. So, what is your genealogy? Genealogy is the study of families, family history, and tracing of your lineage. Genealogy is about finding out, especially those of us who are African American, finding out our lineage, even past slavery, if we were brought here through slavery. Some of us were never our ancestors were never enslaved. They came over here as servants in the northern part of our country. And so they never were in slavery. But can you trace your lineage? Where did you come from? Which part of Africa did you descend from? And so that's what genealogy is about. Finding out what is your ancestry. What is ancestry? Ancestry refers to a person's ethnic origin or descent, our roots, or our heritage, or the place of birth of the person, or the person's parents or ancestors, especially those of us who are in the United States before they arrived in the United States. We hear about Ellis Island. We hear about the Holocaust. We hear about people who came here in slave ships. We hear about people who were brought over here as servants from Europe to become servants in other parts of our country. So ancestry refers to where that person has come from, where their parents descended, what they did, how they responded, like we said earlier, to the things that were going around them in history. So genealogy and ancestry. So what is the benefits of knowing your genealogy? Genealogy, a lot of genealogy is about DNA. So it helps us to discover our origin of disease. Some of us, especially those of us of African American descent, there's that thing called sickle cell anemia. If you find that in your genealogy, you may look for it in if you're having children or in your own health or other things that come to us. Where did that disease originate? Establishing our identity in a community is genealogy. A genealogy can be used for legal matters, like I said, DNA to paternity and things like that. And it also can be used to solve crimes. Many crimes are solved through someone's DNA and knowing their genealogy. So benefits of knowing your genealogy are discovering your origin of diseases, establishing your identity in a community, like knowing that you're African American or knowing that you're Irish or knowing that you're Jewish. So that establishes your racial identity. Can be used for legal matters and it can help you solve crime. The benefits of knowing your ancestry is it gives you a sense of family identity. Who were your grandparents? Who were your great grandparents? Who were your great great grandparents? Were they farmers? Were they doctors? Who are they? You can learn your family history. Where did they live? I know that my mother's family's Arkansas, my dad's family, Mississippi. And I've been able to trace, especially on my dad's side, um, back into the 1800s of his family in Mississippi. You can solve the mystery of who you are by knowing this information, your ancestry. And then it helps you to know how special you are. When you find out these things about where you come from, who birthed you. And if you're in this time right now and you're feeling like, well, I just really have done nothing. I'm really not achieving what I want to achieve. And you get a chance to look back at your ancestry and see people who, under some very severe circumstances, were able to pull themselves out, to send themselves to college or get a trade and pull themselves into, a certain occupation and certain style of living. So it lets you know how special you are because you know who the people you are, the people who brought you here. So knowing your genealogy is important and knowing your ancestry. So how do you get started with these things in um, the screen because of it going to a larger screen? It's sort of compressing. So I hope you can see through that. But it really starts with yourself wanting to know where you fit in your family. So it starts with you. That's how you get started. You want to have that desire to know who you are. And then you want to look for names, dates, and places and relationships. And the best way to do that, it begins at home. It begins with the relatives around you, asking questions before, especially of the older members in your family while they're still here. Let them tell you the information that they have. A lot of the information I got on my dad's side of the family came from my aunt, talking to her, taking notes, and asking who is this and who is that. I even found two cousins at my church who I didn't know they were my cousins, but talking to my aunt and going through this, we found out that we were cousins. And so it helps us to really find out who we are. So ask your relatives, begin at home, take notes, get as much detail about the people, older people in your family know, so that you can start looking. The other sources of how to get started with knowing where to go is federal records, census records, social security records, military records. Those are all federal records that you can look through. State records as well. Where did they own land? County records. All those will give you information about the people in your family. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, death records, burial, cemetery records. Those are things that can help you find out who you are. Church records, many churches detail when someone joins their congregation and the year that they joined. I know my church, Tanner Chapel, has records, years and years of records of members. And so if you're looking to see who was a member at Tanner at a certain time, if one of your relatives was there, they have church records available for you to look at. Libraries are good sources. So don't think that you can't do these things on your own. But there are some softwares that will help you as well, some sites online that will help you figure out your family tree. Once you've gone through your relatives and you've gone through whatever records that you can find um, through your own research, then here are some places that you can go to complete that process. And these are available um, online. Just go. Some of them are paid services, some of them are free services. You decide how you want to take this journey. So the first is ancestry.com. I'm sure you've heard of that. But go to ancestry.com. You can begin to look without actually paying for a subscription. If you want to go deeper, then you can get the paid subscription, but it's very, very affordable. FamilySearch.org. Those are the Mormon Church has one of the largest collections of information about families and the people who live in this country. And Family Search gives you access to some of those records just by knowing a name and a possible date of birth or a date of death. You can go in and it'll connect you to people that are connected to that person. So FamilySearch.org. 23andMe, that's a DNA. If you're wondering if you have relatives that you don't know about, and you can do these DNA, the 23andMe, and it'll bring back. And if there are hits in certain of these ancestry sites, it will let you know, well, this person was found to share a DNA marker with you. Could be a cousin, or an uncle, an aunt, a sibling. I know people who have found siblings that they didn't know existed through 23andMe. Find a grave. If you know the death of your ancestor, you can see if you can find their grave. It will give you information on the dates and also connect you to other people who may be connected to them. Find a past is very similar to find a grave. EllisIsland.org has all the records of the people who came through this country through Ellis Island. And so we know that those are a lot of people who came from Europe and who came from Jewish backgrounds, and they came through there and had to register as a family as they entered this country. Census records. There are census records, I think, dating back to even to the 1700s. You can find census records, state and federal records, like we talked. And then for those of us with special heritage, like African Americans, Jews, and uh, people of Mexican descent, there are different organizations that keep information that will help you even back through to slavery. The Freedmen's Bureau is one of them. They have kept records of plantation owners, and what they do is the plantation owner may have registered all of their slaves, although they don't do them by name. They do them by age and by gender, and then they may have left a, a, a will where they do list all of their slaves by name and by date. And you may be able to cross-reference to see if your relatives lived on a certain plantation in a certain state in the South. The Holocaust Museum has information on Jewish ancestry. And then jewishgen.com is also another site you can go and see if you can find if you are of Jewish descent. So there are so many resources. Check them out and see if you can get to your legacy. And I hope that this information has helped you to get started on your family tree. And I hope that if you are part of the women's 50 something women's network, that if you started this, you will share with me some of the things that you found out as you have put together your family tree. I would love to see it. I'd love to share it on or in the network. So again, thanks for joining me today on Coffee with Cheryl. And again, tomorrow is the release date of Legacy, a historical fiction about a family who finds out their legacy and comes to terms with what has happened in their past and how that relates to what they're going through in their life. It is set in the 2000s. So I hope you will look out for the link on January 30th. That's tomorrow. It'll be on Facebook. You'll get emails. We will share it with groups all across social media so that you will be able to purchase your copy. And I look forward to sharing Legacy with you. Have a great Monday, and I will see you on the next Copy with Cheryl.